What's up, everyone? Welcome to Unmasked, where things are discovered, uncovered, brought to the light, and made known. I'm your host, Lamar Barrett, coming live to you from PG County, Maryland. If you're interested in finding out about the untold stories behind being a college coach, this is the show for you. Being a former assistant men's college basketball coach for 16 years, there are so many untold stories behind the scenes in the life of a college coach. Now, let's unmask them. Today's guest is a young assistant. I'm always going to say that. Young assistant coach with a ton of experience, tremendous work ethic, a great, talent evaluator, terrific teacher of the game, and a great skill development coach. Excellent X's and O's coach. She's a Palmdale, California native, Edniesha, and I'm going to talk about her bio before we bring on. Tremendous bio, was a terrific player. Started off at Cal State Northridge for 2 years, finished at University of Oregon and played there for 2 years. Finished in 2002, drafted by the Charlotte Steam, played professionally for 7 years, including in the WNBA with the Sparks and the Mercury, as well as playing international overseas. Once she was done playing, she stayed around the game of basketball, probably always been her passion. From there, she, worked 2009, 2010, Adidas side, marketing assistant, global department. And then for the next 3 years, she spent time coaching over in Israel, doing some training, even back in Oregon, as far as with AAU team concept. So she was still involved with the game of basketball. And then 13, 14, she had a chance to go over to China, coaching the WBCA junior basketball professional league, and she's a head coach there for a year. And then before she even came back to the States, spent a year over in Vietnam as a head coach again, coaching professionally. And then she got a chance to come to the college side. And in 2015, she was called to Maine to work on the women's side as an assistant coach and player development coach. That tells you how strong her player development is. I did a lot of player development for 2 years, and then had a chance to start up the NBA assistant programs, the NBA assistant program director, and working in the NBA with assistant coaches, and then also working with at Atlantic Classical High School down in Atlanta, Georgia. Had a chance to coach there as well, and then she gets another call from the University of Maine. Had a chance to go to the men's side. So since 2018, she's been an assistant coach at the University of Maine. This is a person I've followed probably the last 6 to 8 months, being at the pandemic, listened to her, seeing some of the work she's done, listening to her on different Zooms. And I definitely wanted to get on the show. I wanted to welcome to the show, Edniesha. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for having me. Excited to, talk about my journey with you today.
Well, I'm glad we could make it. I know you out at home, and so we're on the West Coast, working in 3 hours, a difference of 3 hour time slot. So, but I'm glad you could come on. First question, Edniesha, I love to ask my guests because you had played professionally, you had coached professionally before you even got into the college game. But there's no handbook to being a college coach. Tell me about maybe the first day, first week, first month, even after things are done with human resources or orientation, especially like when no one gives you any direction. They just throw you right in the fire. Talk about that.
Wow. My first week, like in month, once I got hired to be a college coach, was like, okay, you've cleared, you did all your background checks. Here's your laptop. Here's all the codes to, Synergy, Fast Draw, Fast Model, Fast Scout. And here's the games you're going to scout. Here's the players you're going to be developing. Here's our practice schedule. All right, let's have a good day.
Wow. I mean, that's it, huh?
It's, everyone thinks like you're going to get like this blueprint of how to be a great coach and how to be a great teacher, but it really is, I tell people, it's your experiences, and people hire those experiences based on relationships, and you have to come in and you have to be a self-starter. And I think a lot of people fail and get frustrated with college coaching because they're waiting for someone to tell them what to do. This is not the profession. Like, if someone has to tell you what to do, you're probably going to get fired.
I totally agree with you. And some people come from the corporate world sometimes, and like they were told like they knew when to take lunch, when not to take lunch. There is no no exact time. Like, you just gotta go whenever you get a chance, and that could be 3 minutes, it could be 30 minutes to an hour. So you just don't know. I love what you said, educational part on that. I hope people are listening to that first answer you given. Now, recruiting. This is the lifeline of college athletics. If you want to be successful, I mean, probably even in business, like, you want to recruit good people. Number one, you want to recruit good players, and then you also, at this level, you want to recruit good students. And good students doesn't always mean all A's or all B's, but you do want to recruit people who care about education, who wants to get a degree, and who you don't have to chase around worrying about if they're going to class or not. They're self-motivated people who want to be successful. So my question to you is, what has been your best or worst recruiting story since you've been in college athletics?
Wow. You know what? I think I've been blessed. I haven't had any horror stories yet. Um, I did have one young man that didn't make it through the semester. I guess that's the worst story I've had, as far as recruiting a kid that wasn't mentally mature enough to handle the responsibility of being a Division I athlete. Um, but his transition, to see his transition now, we helped him go to a JUCO, and that's where he should have started off. Not because of talent, but just because his maturation process. And we still have a good relationship. We talk. He's always following me and telling me the good stuff he's doing, and he's grateful. Which sometimes, when you have to make these decisions as a coach to kind of let a kid go, those are hard, and I think those are the hardest recruiting decisions because you know the kids play the game. We don't, and our job depends on them playing the game a certain way so we can win and build a culture that has some longevity. Um, Good part, I enjoy the relationships, you know, talking to people, um, getting to know people's family. I don't know if you guys have studied University of Maine. We we probably have one of the most diverse staffs and team probably in all of men's basketball. Um, Probably 80 to next year will probably be close to 85% of our roster is international. So some seasons we'll have 8 international players. Some season we'll have 11. Next year it might be closer to 12 to 13 international players. So we get all of these. It's kind of like a melting pot. They all speak different languages. They all have their ways that are different. They're all learning America. They're all learning us. But it helps that our staff, most of us have played, lived, um, abroad, so it kind of helps and we kind of understand. But that's the fun part of recruiting for me. It's getting to know different people, which is why the first part of my basketball journey I chose to coach abroad instead of here in America, because I just wanted different experiences. And for me, recruiting, good or bad, is an experience, and it's the perspective. You're not going to get every kid you recruit. You're not going to mesh with, every coach, but it's all a part of the process. And I call it lessons learned. You learn good and bad lessons, but it's the perspective and the mindset that you take that, propels you as a coach forward.
So true. And like you said, you're gonna get more no's in this business than you're gonna get yes. So You just got to be able to accept it, move on. We talk about it in recruiting all the time. Is, you know, kids want to, they like you, but they really don't want to go there. Like, no, you be honest. Like, the best answer you can tell me is yes. The second best answer you can tell me no. Then I know to move on or not. But you know, you don't like being wasted. You know, time shouldn't be wasted in this profession. I mean, we're old enough now. We can take a no. You know, so
Yeah.
I can understand that. Um, I like sacrifice is a key word in this profession. Um, you know, we all know that this profession is, you know, 12, 15, 18-hour days. You know, you got watching film, you recruiting, you could have 355 out of 365 days, sometimes 360 days out the year. You're busy doing something with college athletics, with coaching. Um, and like you were a person who played first, you know, played professionally, coached professionally, more so than in college. But what did you have to sacrifice um, achieving your current level of success?
Wow, I had to sacrifice leaving. I always kind of giggle and laugh at, you hear that those sayings that, behind that big yes is 10 years of no's, and I was living proof of that, when I wanted I got every excuse. I couldn't do this. I always tell young people that I'm mentoring, you have your purpose out, even if someone else doesn't. And I knew I was a coach and I already knew and I just was like, you guys don't see it. So getting better and going the everyone was trying to tell me, I left. I sacrificed. I left my family again after spending 10 years playing overseas and away from my family. I left again and I went a year and a half in Israel. Then I went and coached 13 months in China, 7 months in Vietnam, for transition into getting an opportunity to coach women's basketball collegiately. And it was a phone call. My great friend, family, Gannon Baker called me, and that time it was Skype. He gave me a Skype call and said, "Hey, E, would you want to come back home?" And I was like, "Gee, I'm happy here. I'm head coaching. I'm building my global feed brand. I'm gonna be straight." And I was like, "Is it gonna be the interview process? All of this? Look, this is who I am. And if they can't accept this, then I don't even want to deal with it. So you go back and pitch that to them, and then we'll go from there." And he literally came back and was like, "No, they really want you." So Coach Barron, which is my current coach, he was the current head coach on the women's side too. We Skyped, had fun over the Skype, and we Skyped with him and associate head coach Amy Vachon at that time. And the next day he offered me the job. And that was my experience, but it was 10 years of a lot of no's, a lot of I'm not good enough. And the one thing that I've always taken from rejection is you don't see me the way I see me. And I've always asked when people have rejected me, why? And I don't think during the growth process and the interview process, I think people take too many no's without asking why. So I literally asked everybody, like, why didn't you choose me? And over the course of the years, I started saying, okay, this is a BS answer, because I can tell a genuine no, and I can tell BS. And I think that's something that you need, because for me, the no's didn't hurt my confidence because I went back and asked why. And sometimes people take no on top of no on top of no, and it's like, we're all human. you start feeling like you're not good enough. But it made me a lifelong learner. Like it made me learn everything. And it helped me get positions that I have now, with the NBA and the position I have now on the men's side.
I mean, that's terrific. I like that the 10 years of no's, and it's like you probably wouldn't change anything, but like, hey, I mean, it worked out for you, in the present moment. It's interesting you say Gannon Baker. We're from same hometown, Hampton, graduated the same time. So like, when you threw out Gannon, I'm like, wow, I didn't realize you had a relationship with Gannon Baker. That's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
that's family.
Um, Scouting reports. We know that's a huge part of college coaching as well. People have no idea how much time is invested into those scouts. You're watching 7, 8 games. You got to go from, when you first put your scout report together, discussing it with the coach, what's the game plan, and being able to, tell the kids or get it to the kids, what you want them to do, and you can't give them too much, because if you give them too much, they're not going to remember. You got to give them enough, and at the same time, there's some things, you're looking at it, you're telling coach, hey coach, kid is struggling from shooting. He's made his last 2 out of 30. As soon as he makes his second 3, coach is turning to you saying, you told me he couldn't shoot. Coach, I never said he couldn't shoot. I said he's struggling. That's the difference. So talk about the scout report. Like, it don't have to be your best or worst scout report, but just talk about that in general, even with your mindset going into scouts before you even prepare to the team and when it's game time.
Wow. Well, in my situation with Coach Barron, I'm very blessed to pretty much do the game plan when it comes to our scouting report. He gives me, 100% when it comes to developing a scouting report. And my process is long because it starts now. So I start as soon as Coach Barron gives us the schedule for next year, I develop a scout schedule for the staff, and we get our preseason, and we usually keep the same conference game. So, we may rotate them every blue moon, but once we get our off-season game schedule, I set up a scout schedule for the assistant coaches. So I know all the games now. So I'm starting my prep work right now. So when season comes, I don't have long hours with scouting. The only thing that I'm doing is doing the personnel with the new freshmen, but everything else is pretty much the same. Coaches' playbooks don't change often. The players change, but the playbooks don't change. So I'll set up a scouting report for my head coach, and it's his game plan. He gets that maybe like 4 days before the game. And that's things when it comes to what we should do in practice, offensively, defensively, what drills we should run, what drills we don't need to do, what tweaks we may need to add to a pick and roll defense, if we need to go over zone that week, or if it's something that we can do. And he gets that, and it's really detailed. It's probably 10 to 15 pages sometime, and he can mark it up, and now he knows what he needs to do far as practice. And then like 2 days before the game, I'll give the staff their scouting reports. And that's probably 2 or 3 pages. And we're a paperless program. So our players get everything built in on their iPads as far as scouting reports. So the video clips, everything is video for them. So we make up short defensive edits and video edits of their offense and their defense, and it's probably like 6 minutes, and I'll create that for them. And then the same with personnel, I'll give them like 30 seconds that they can look over, and if it's someone that's a focal point, then he may get 90 seconds or 2 minutes, but it's it's very short and to the point. Um, and then, throughout practice, if it's your scout in our program, you're in charge of the scout team, the scout defense, the walkthrough, the pregame walkthrough. So we're doing all that throughout practice. And it's one thing that it's a reason why I prepare early, because one of my mentors, a former NBA coach, Coach Butch Carter, and you cannot do a scouting report with the paper. So once my scouting report is done, I'm done with it. Like, coach can call me on Monday or Tuesday and the game is on Saturday and it's in my head already. I don't need to go look at a paper. I don't have a paper in my back pocket. I know the numbers. My coach likes us to say the last name and their number. So you got to remember all of that. And you really can't do that to a level of excellence a week or 2 weeks before the game, because so many things happen during the week. You may have an unofficial visit, coach may have to go on a recruiting trip and you may have to take over media while he's gone. Like, all these things happen during a season. So my prep work is starting now. Like, I've already started next season now. That way you can work on it. And then once the walkthrough is done and we went through our practices throughout the week, and coaches kind of went over our ATOs, what sets he wants to run and things like that, I create a game card. And it's on an index card where it's folded. It has the starting lineups, our subs, their key players, all of the ATOs that we went over in practice that the players know that we can use down by 2, down by 3, certain sets we may run to tweak during the game. And it also allows me during the game to say, hey, coach, remember we ran this play. They're running that defense. We can capitalize on it. So scouting is just not to beat the opponent. It's also just the preparation throughout the week for your team.
Wow, great answer. Very detailed. And I see why you have success at it. I mean, that's I wish a lot of people would be like you. Get like you. I'm listening to you. Sounds like a great system. And I ask this, biggest challenge you have experienced since you've been become a college coach.
I feel like my challenges were before in my life. I don't think it's a challenge when you get to achieve your dream and you get to do something you love. I mean, a challenge for me is like, okay, coach is like, I told you have a $15,000 technology budget, but now you got 13. That's a challenge for me. It's not the job that's a challenge, because I felt like the 10 years of the grind, going overseas, and what I had to do to be successful there, to transition here, it's easy for me. And I'm grateful for it. I think it's all about your mindset, and my mindset is always about a solution. I've always been like that. So challenges are just an opportunity for me to get better or to gain another skill. And I always tell young people this all the time: when you get into this profession, you may not have a big time marketing coordinator that is going to be able to do graphics. So what? Hire somebody or figure out how to do it yourself. You're adding another skill. And that's kind of how I built my career. So the challenges for me now in my position is more the media challenge, you know, for me, handling all the media and the responsibility that I have as a woman in this position as a men's coach. I'm on the women's side, I have to be this. On the men's side, I have to be this too. But I have to make sure the responsibility of, media, podcasting, all these things that I have to do to move the game forward and educate people that being a coach is a coach. Gender has nothing to do with success. Doesn't get in the way of my excellence when it comes to being a great assistant coach for Coach Barron and the rest of the University of Maine.
Wow, that's some great stuff in there. I love it. Like I said, there is no your challenges are before. I actually love that and all the things you said with it. Now, do you think that or do you find that there are things about you that people misunderstand? Like what are
Um, I don't think people get a chance to really know me because I'm a very private, introverted person. I do a lot for people. I mentor a lot of people, but I just don't announce it. I'm not a big, tell everybody what I'm doing for people. And it's hilarious. Like this is an example. You're like, I didn't know you knew Gannon. I literally have been knowing him since like I was 20. Like it was like over 20 years we've been close. So those are interesting dynamics that happen. And then once people get to know me and they realize that the things that I've done in the background of um, women's and men's basketball, they're like, whoa, you did that? You helped that person? So, um, and I'm open, I always, I'm the one when people say, hey, you can email me, you really can email me, and you can really call me because I know that I wouldn't be in this position if someone else didn't reach back. And I think a lot of times when people see people like me in this, I don't know, fame, kind of like you're the one trailblazer, it stops them from realizing that I'm just a person. And you can call me, we can talk. I'm not bigger than anybody.
actually like that? Because at the end of the day, some people be like, "Oh, she's the first." Oh, she's a female coach in the men's. I don't look at. I know I look at her and say, "She's a coach." It don't matter. You said about it earlier. Gender doesn't matter. If you're good at what you do, it shouldn't matter gender, race, and that shouldn't matter at all. And I think once people get over that, like I said, I look at it and say, no, she's a good coach. Just like people stereotype HBCU coaches. They're like, oh, he's a great coach in the HBCU. No, he's a great coach no matter what he's in. And you're right. I mean, stereotype all the time in this business. We're all educators in this business. We always talk about the basketball court is like your classroom. So we're always teaching young men or women in this game. But at the same time, what do you try to teach or educate to your players besides basketball?
The first letter, so I'm giving out one of my nuggets. So every season, once we start, my position group gets a letter from me. And it's one word written on the letter, biggest day, legacy. And we go through the process of talking about that. Like, what do you want to be known for? Well, after the air goes out the ball. Because I explain to them all the time, like, this game, you can have 4 years, you can have 2 years, you can have 1, you can have 10, you never know. But you are going to be here way longer. And you are always giving the world you every single day. And it's just simple things like when I tell them to introduce yourself, don't introduce yourself as a basketball player. Your name has power. Your name is your legacy. So teaching them that um my name is, and I go to school at Maine, University of Maine, and I play on the basketball team, and my major is instead of, hey, I'm a basketball player. My name is, and I'm about, no. it's just a part of your journey and a part of your platform, and teaching, young athletes to separate that. Like, I have a basketball platform, I have a role model, I have a mentorship platform, and getting them to understand the power of that, and the power that their name will have in creating this legacy in each platform is truly powerful. So for me, it's getting young people to understand the power of building their legacy. And it has nothing to do with wins and losses and how many points you score. You have to value your name.
Wow, that's deep, and that is a nugget. I'm right. I've written that down, so I definitely want to steal that. I actually love that. You a former player. You've been young before. You know how some we younger people think. But what is the strangest or maybe the weirdest thing a player has done outside of the basketball court that you just were like, wow, did they really do this? I can't believe they even did this. We don't have to say names. We don't have to, but like you just sat back and said, I really can't believe this student athlete did this.
You know what? It's I don't know, they dry snitch all the time. So it's funny to me. Like they dry snitch all the time. Like their use of social media just is hilarious to me. I'm like, I I can tell when someone's gonna have a bad practice and not have a bad practice. And like it's just this new thing. Like I'm gonna act like I'm just super tired, and like, I'm gonna make up everything about my grades and this and that. And I'm like, does he not know that like I seen his feed? Like, yo, like it's just like I like and I love, like, I'm petty. So like I love to like go along with it. Like, yeah, like I'm just totally gonna go along with it. And I'm not even gonna mention really what I saw. And I'm just gonna be like, okay, thanks for the communication, but we're just gonna go back to practice. It's funny things like that. It's the typical hustle, like every young person hustles. Like that's what they do. They hustle doing chores at the last minute. They hustle taking out the trash. It's the same stuff. So, when you get young adults in college and, they're like, man, they can't be like my parents. It's a new hustle for them. And you literally just have to navigate that maturity process. But for me, it's funny to me. I like enjoy, honestly, when they um do stuff like that, because I'm like, you're still a kid, you're still a young adult, and it gives me an opportunity to help them be better. I don't, like I said, I really don't take the stuff as bad, because it's just growth. It's a part of the process. I mean, like if they're not, doing anything illegal or whatever, who hasn't done dumb stuff? Who hasn't done a like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, you know, kid, what, we went on a road trip, and our player, day of the game, we get to the game, has no shoes. How do you not have shoes? No shoes. Um, Double check, you're in the bus. Double check your uniform. You got your uniform. You got your shoe. We go through all of this over and over again. Get to the game. We've had kids forget their uniform, like, of all things. And then it's like, that's why we tell you to wear it from the hotel. Like, you trying to be a superstar, just wear it. It doesn't matter. So those are, the funny things. And then, we've had incident where my coach is like, yo, you're late for the bus. We've had players, my coach is taking off. Like, you better Uber and figure it out. And we've had, a player running after the bus, hitting the bus. And our head coach is like, do not stop this bus. He'll get there. So it's kind of those funny maturation processes. And, I like the fact that we make them figure it out, but it also just gives us the time to be, true leaders to them.
I love, you're 100% right. And it's interesting because people ask me, I've been out for 2 years now, and I'm doing scouting, stuff with the NBA. But it's interesting because people say like, "What do you miss the most?" And I'm like, when you leave practice and you go and hang out with them in the locker room, like they keep you young because, like you said, they dry snitch, what I'm saying, or like they don't even realize they're doing, and like they're being kids, and they'll and when they trust you, they tell you stuff, and they know like if it's not serious enough, they're not worried about it going anywhere. So they almost tell you anything, and so it does become hilarious just to see them. You like this kid was this way as a freshman. Now he's matured a little bit. So it is all about maturation. You're 100% correct. So I definitely love that answer. I listened to you. You've been around some good people, a lot of people actually. If you had a chance to sit down, have lunch or dinner, and maybe you have with some people already, have a lunch or dinner for 3 or 4 hours, and you get to pick, 2 or 3 people that you want to pick their brain. What makes them tick, or what made them tick? And it can be past or present. Like I want to sit down with these people from a coaching standpoint. Who would those people be? I mean, sometimes it's like, dang, that's an answer that I don't want to forget anybody. But who would you want to sit down, pick their brain, and just figure out, okay, what made them tick?
For me, it would be C. Vivian Stringer, Coach Stringer, George Raveling, Coach Raveling, and I want to sit down with Coach Bernadette Maddox because she was the first woman that ever did this, and she did it for years at the University of Kentucky. And business, because I like to change people, it would be Oprah. I want to sit down with Oprah.
And those was good people. Bernard Maddox, that was the '90s, so I remember that, and I definitely
Yeah.
remember that. Like that's what if you because you like I'm listening to you, a historian, just listening to you throw out George Raveling, like people don't realize how much effect or how positive he was
Mhm.
on the game, and sometimes people forget like about him. Like he's a living legend, and like
Yep.
more people should listen. I think you might have been on the same Zoom with me. It was a West Coast Zoom. I think it
Yeah.
was Christian
The
Hart and
VCU. Yep. Yep.
yeah, he was it was unbelievable, just to hear him. And I think more people should want to listen to him as well. It's just unbelievable. Um, what's the biggest accomplishment you think you've experienced since becoming a college coach? A lot of people always equate that to wins and not like, but what's the biggest accomplishment you think you've experienced?
For me, it's always centered around who I am and what I stand for my family. So I think, for me, my biggest accomplishment is being a living role model and mentor to my baby brother. Um, for me, again, everything I do is centered around um, my legacy and what that stands for my family. So for me, that's my biggest accomplishment.
Awesome. I like that. What this is kind of entertaining. So I'm gonna figure out who you are. I'm listening. What movie or TV show title best describes your week?
Yeah, what movie or TV show best describes my week? Oh, TV show probably be Scandal. Definitely. That um movie. Ooh, wow, what movie? I'm a movie buff too, so I like watch a lot of movies. Man, old school, new school. Um, I don't know for the movie.
You can think about it because I did say movie or so you can be like you gave me a TV show. So you might be thinking, be like, man, what movie that really I might ask you at the end on that. May ask you on the end. So think about that as we're going along.
Okay.
And it might pop up in the time. Yeah, I got one. But I'm gonna ask you this though. What's your favorite word or phrase that you like to use?
Own your story, own your journey.
That's deep. Own your story, own your journey. I like it. Wow. It's a good one. That's actually great. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Don't care about what anybody thinks, and I think that advice came to me at a very young age. Like a lot of people are like, man, you just have this different confidence about yourself. And that literally was instilled in me from my, big mama growing up. Like one of her phrases was always, she would always say, my nickname with her was Coco. She would always say, Coco, don't ever let anybody steal your smile. Don't ever let anybody steal your joy. And when you grow up with someone instilling that in you, that's why I'm able to get past the no's, the rejection, because I really don't care what you think of me. You're not going to hurt or hamper, the direction of my journey. That's on me. So when you have someone instilling that, confidence in you so young, it kind of helps you.
Man, I love that. I love that answer. What does success mean to you? Because success, you use that word earlier for something, but like a lot of people, once again, they think you got success means, oh, I won 30 games. Like, what does success mean to you? Because it may not even be, it's not probably related to wins and losses, just listening to you now. But like, what does success mean to you?
Success for me is how many people I open the door for. That's what success is for me. I make it a point to make sure that especially young Black coaches um, are, given the opportunity, whether it's on an NBA staff, women's staff, or men's staff, given opportunity through my mentorship. So for me, it's how many other people that I lift back and bring with me.
That is so powerful. Selfless person leads right into the next question because I was basically saying, listening to you, you're very selfish. You're not a self promoter. I mean, like I said, I didn't even know you worked with Gannon, but if you had to choose if you had to choose three adjectives to describe yourself, what would you choose? Which ones would you choose?
Wow. For me, it would be innovator. Um, it's all the usual, perseverance, um, loving, loving. I think that's the one thing that truly describes me in the heart of what drives everything for me.
Wow, I love it. Um, and I'm gonna ask you this in turn: what qualities do you value in the people with whom you spend time?
Um, they have to be selfless, and they have to care about people. I don't, the level of the people I work with are different from high school, middle school. I don't care about that. I care about your heart and what are you going to do with your gifts for other people. That's really, really important for me.
Um, and I ask you this: what person and or event has had the most influence on your life?
Person would definitely be my father. Um, that's my father passed away last August, but yeah, that my father is my everything, always has been. So everything that he instilled in me, me being in this position, the strength that I have, he gave me a cape that no one can take off. um so I have a superpower that, no ism, um, no ism in the world can hurt me, because of the power and the cape that he gave me to know who I am as a woman and to, like I said, own my story and own my journey, came from him.
That's I mean, I love that. Powerful. What energizes you and brings you excitement? Because like like you come across like you sounds like you have a ton of energy. I mean, just that oozes out of you, right? You know, even right now, like I could tell, like just talking about basketball, like life, like you have some energy. But what energizes you and brings you excitement?
Um, Being able to change, being able to evolve, and being able to give that to other people energizes me. Being able to learn things and being able to be indoors in places that other people are not in, and giving that to others, that really energized me. I really love learning stuff and helping people. You know, I consider myself as a resource. And when you consider yourself a resource, you know, you give. You want to be, you know, resourceful to other people, and I really value that a lot.
Wow. I mean, you dropping some knowledge today. I'm just listening to a lot of this. Um, so there are people that's in the business, in the profession, that stereotype former NBA, WNBA players, NBA players and coaches, WNBA coaches, when they take a job in college basketball. What was the biggest, because you coach professional before you jumping in. What was your biggest transition after playing in the WNBA and professional and even coaching professionally to a college basketball assistant?
My transition was just kind of like the I guess the office hours here are different. You know, like being in office, like when I was in Europe, we really weren't in the office. We were in the gym all day. So it's more the transition into office work, you know, being on your computer, doing a lot of office stuff, was kind of my biggest transition. And just the rules, you know, when I was in Europe and in Asia, like I was in the gym all day. You know, my computer was at night when I would edit video and do things like that. But it was no on the court, like rules, like my players coming like, hey coach, can we shoot an hour? And I didn't have to worry about the care rules and the care hours and, you know, things like that. So for me, it was learning to manage and still be successful around those rules and those hours, to still give our players the best experience as student athletes.
Oh, I mean, good transition. You're not the first person to say that. Someone else spoke. They said, "Yeah, I didn't know that we had to do, paperwork like that. I thought we just coached." You know what I'm saying? So you're not the first person to say that. I like to end with this question just because it gives you a chance to reflect. Like knowing what you know now, what would you tell your young self or younger self to prepare for as an assistant coach?
Uh, Learn technology a little earlier, I guess. But I really never, you know what, go for it. That's what I would say. I would say just go for it. I think a lot of times when you're young, you base your experience on what you see in the job description. Go for it. Call that person, email that person, hunt them down, whatever you want to do. If you feel you can add value to someone, whether it's coaching, organization, any job, go for it. I don't think we do that enough. And as I've gotten older, half of my opportunities is because I just go for it. Like, I don't care. Like, the whole idea of someone telling me no doesn't matter to me anymore. I'm like, okay. And usually now when someone tells me no, like if my head coach tells me no, he knows I'm gonna figure out how to get a yes because I know it's gonna work. So yeah, I would tell my younger self to go for it a little more. Take risk.
I love that answer. Go for it. Take risks. Before we go, before I sign off on this, did you ever come up with a movie? Just asking. Just to give you a chance. Did you come up with a movie title for you that describes your week? You don't have to.
Yes, I
Okay.
do. I do. Life.
Woo. Okay. Life. That's a new one, but I like it. Life. I got it. Well, look, I want to thank you again, Edniesha, for being a guest on the show and being unmasked. Is there anything you want to leave with the people? You dropped so many jewels today. I mean, wow. I mean, I don't know. I just want to know if you want to leave anything with them before we go.
Yeah, don't ask permission to be who you are meant to be in this world. Too many times we ask people permission. If you want to be a head coach, you want to be an assistant coach, do what you need to do to achieve your dreams, and don't ask anybody permission.
And you sure you're not gonna drop the mic with that? That was deep too. Well, well, look, thanks again. And thank you, viewers, for watching another great show. Stay tuned for the next episode as we get them unmasked. See you next time and stay safe.